Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and we have arrived to free agency. It is free agency time in the NFL and for our New Orleans Saints. And we have some news to talk about, some things to talk about, some things to address that has been going on since the last time we spoke here on the Dome Patrol podcast, regarding the New Orleans Saints. And once again, we get to a point of the year where it's kind of do or die. It's like every move is magnified at this point for the Saints, because every move that they make or don't make will either make this team a contender or set us back another 10 years. It's like every move is that drastic for the New Orleans Saints. And this is the position that we've been put in. We've been put in this, I guess backed up against a corner is a better way to explain it, over the past 3 years, ever since, I guess, Sean Payton left, when he left the team pretty much in disarray. Let's call it what it is. He left the team in disarray. And if you look at what's going on in Denver, this is what he does. It's kind of poetic to see what's going on in Denver with Sean Payton, because he left the Saints because he didn't want to rebuild. He was too lazy to rebuild this franchise. And so he left and tried to find a ready-made team. And so he can just do his Sean Payton thing. Okay, fine. So he goes to Denver. You have Russell Wilson. I'm going to change things up. And it didn't work. It didn't work. Now he's in rebuild mode. And, and when you look at it, you look at they let Russell Wilson go. They're paying this man $85 million to go home, even though he has signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers now, and I wish him all the success in the world. But they let him go. They let Jerry Jeudy go. They are truly rebuilding from scratch, and you can't do anything but sit back and scratch your head like, why did you leave here? Why did you leave New Orleans just to go do the same thing there? I guess it's the change of scenery or whatever. I don't know what it is, but I wasn't upset with the Sean Payton thing, him leaving the Saints. I really wasn't too upset until all this happened, until all of the events that took place over the last few months over there in Denver. And I'm like, why he left? What was the point? What was the point? But I digress. We're not talking about Sean Payton. We're past that. We're on the bigger and worse things over here in the Who Dat Nation. We got to deal with Dennis Allen. And that's my God, man. This I'm trying. I have tried to lie to myself for the past few months since the season ended. And I tried to lie to myself and say, you know what? Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. And I had to, remind myself, this is the same crap you told yourself last offseason. And you bought into it yet again, and you got hurt yet again. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it this time. He is who he is. Dennis Allen is not a good coach. And I'm going to say it until my dying day. He is not a good football coach. It's not in him. I don't care who he brings in here as a offensive coordinator. And I hope and pray that this dude works out. I hope and pray that the staff he puts together is the right staff for this team. But I have no reason to believe as a team, as Dennis Allen is the head, as the captain of this ship, that we're going to be contenders. I just don't see it. Everybody else around us is getting better. And we're going to go over some of the moves that has been made, not only for the New Orleans Saints, but in the South and around the league, and how it's going to affect the New Orleans Saints moving forward. But like I said, it's a new year, a new league year, and we have reached the legal tampering period of free agency. Free agency doesn't officially start until the 13th, I believe. But at the time of this recording, it's the legal tampering, which means you can work out deals with free agents and whatnot, which it is a bunch of baloney. It's all all that all that's been done months in advance. You don't hammer out $1 million deals in an hour, in 30 minutes, in a day. That doesn't happen. This happens weeks in advance. You can go back to the combine. This is when stuff is started to get worked out with free agencies. But they save face with the legal tampering stuff that we're going through right now. But for the next couple of months, we'll get some answers to the questions when it comes to the New Orleans Saints and what figures to be a pivotal year for the New Orleans Saints. This is, it seems like you say this every year, but it's true. This is a very important season for the Saints. It's do or die. Before we jump in, who the Saints need, who the Saints are losing, and all this here, the Saints have made a lot of moves as far as contracts are concerned. A lot of moving and shaking. Saints are still $11 million over the cap. So it's not like the Saints can go out here and just go crazy with signing whoever is available at this time. So you can throw that out your head. But the Saints do have some players that you can pretty much bank on that that are leaving. These are players who are unrestricted or even restricted free agents this free agents period. We have Michael Thomas, the first and foremost. He has voided years. And so this is it. Come Wednesday, officially, he will no longer be a New Orleans Saint unless they work out a deal. And the way he's been going ham, he being Michael Thomas, been going ham on social media in the past weeks for a while. I don't see him coming back. And quite honestly, it's all right. It's all right. It's time. It's time for him to move on. Go ahead and find some greener pastures somewhere else. I'm truly gonna miss him. I'm not like everybody else who all of a sudden forgot how much of a beast Michael Thomas was. I don't get Saints fans. Honestly, I don't get them. And you're talking to a big Saints fan, but I don't get some of you Saints fans. I really the way people are responding to Michael Thomas. Oh, he can go. Oh, he ain't worth the money anyway. Blah blah blah. Are you crazy? Have y'all seen Michael Thomas? Unfortunately, been hurt the last few years. He's been hurt. But let's not forget, before the injury bug bit him, he was one of the top 5 receivers in the entire NFL. That's not even up for debate. He don't get hurt. He has a gold jacket waiting on him in Canton. That's not a debate. This dude was a monster. Let's not forget, for years, he was the only wide receiver that the New Orleans Saints had. And he still did him. The fact that people walk around here and say, oh, and I've heard it. I've heard it on radio. I've heard it from or read it on social media and all this other foolishness. Oh, Michael Thomas he ain't been nothing since Drew Brees left. Nobody's been nothing since Drew Brees left. Don't put that on Michael Thomas. But once again, Michael Thomas was Drew Brees' only target for several years. So you can make the argument that Drew Brees wasn't nothing without Michael Thomas. We don't know, because at the same time, he needed him and he needed him. No, man, don't do that. Don't do that. The year Michael Thomas broke the record for receptions in a single season, Drew Brees was hurt. I'm just throwing it out there. And so if it was all that, if he needed Drew Brees to make him what he is, how did he break that record that year when Drew Brees was out for what, 6 games? Interesting. But anyways, we don't have to worry about it no more. All of you so-called Saints fans, you can cheer in the streets now. Michael Thomas is no longer a cancer in the locker room. So there's that. But I really do wish him the best. I'm gonna miss him personally. I really loved Michael Thomas. Can't guard Mike. He brought that edge. He brought that dog, man. He had that. He just had it. Somebody who get on the field, talk trash, was physical on the line, made defensive coordinators have fits, because you're sending double coverage with a bracketing him over the top. And he's not the fastest, but he gets open. They used to call him slant boy. All he do is run slants, but it works. Stop it. If you know he's going to run a slant, stop it. They can't stop it. The dude was amazing. But I wish him all the best. And I really wish he would come back, but it is what it is. Andrus Peat is also a free agent. Andrus Peat, if you would have said something a year ago, I would have said, let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord split you. But when they moved Andrus Peat over to tackle, he really flourished. He did an excellent job last season at tackle. I'm like, man, they should have been did that. But hey, too little too late, I guess, unless they resign him. I doubt it, because he's going to demand a lot. I don't understand why either, but I see him probably leaving. If he do come back, it's going to be for cheap. They're just going to let him test the market. We'll see if somebody else pick him up. Someone else will be Jameis Winston. And I also heard a lot of vitriol towards Jameis Winston because of that Atlanta game, the last game of the season with the fake kneel down and giving Jamal Williams the touchdown and all this here. Look, let me tell you something. Was it kind of Bush League? Well, I'm gonna take the kind off. Was it Bush League? Sure. It was cheap. That was a cheap shot. And if it had been done to the New Orleans Saints, yeah, I'll be mad. I'll be mad. But at the same time, if that's your reason for not liking Jameis Winston or wanting him to leave, that's a you problem, dog. You really got some serious issues. You tell me this. And once again, I'm gonna say this to my dying day. You tell me where Derek Carr is any better than Jameis Winston. I'll wait. And pick a category. Pick one. Interceptions. Look at Derek Carr's numbers. Leadership. Well, Jameis got you there because the team love him. So I would love to know where the vast difference is where they think Derek Carr is that much better than Jameis Winston. It isn't there. Now, is Jameis a goofball? Yes. Does Jameis have a turnover issue? Sure he does. Did I think that Jameis Winston was the long-term solution for the New Orleans Saints? No, I did not. But I did believe he was a better option than paying Derek Carr $150 million. I did say that. I do believe that. I mean, I'm looking at quarterbacks who made half that, if not none of that, be successful, far more successful in his whole career. Derek Carr hasn't done anything his whole career. And look, I'm one of the main ones who around this time last year, almost to the day, was cheering in the streets, running around with my shirt off, screaming "Who dat?" because we signed Derek Carr. Yeah, I was. I drunk the Kool-Aid. Now my teeth are riding out. It was too much sugar in it. It's not working, man. It's not working. But We shall see. Maybe Clint Kubiak can sprinkle some magic dust on him and he'll be better. We shall see. Jimmy Graham is also gone. We knew that was a 1 year deal. Lenny Johnson, the defensive back, who did pretty decent coming in from time to time throughout the season. He had signed with the Houston Texans, and so he is gone. Isaac Geldum, who was a pretty good cornerback, backup. He is and he's young. Well, youngish. He's about 28 years old. He will hit free agency. Zach Braun, the linebacker, who I adore, and probably the best pass rusher that we had on the team. Because Dennis Allen did not use his strengths to his advantage, um, as a pass rusher, and he didn't have him pass when he had him as a pass rusher, he was successful. Which is what got him drafted. That's what he was in Wisconsin, a pass rusher. Well, we don't have to worry about that no more. I'm pretty sure he's going to be used to his ability in Philly because he has signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, quickly. Philly snatched that off the board real quick, and I wish him all the success in the world. I really do. I like Zach Braun. Also in our free agents, we have Cameron Irvin, Max Garcia, Ty Summers, Malcolm Roach, Kyle Phillips, Jonathan Abram, Keith Kirkwood, Eno Benjamin, and our restricted free agents. You have Lynn Bowden, Adam Patience, and Ryan Conley. I think I saw somewhere where Lynn Bowden signed with somebody. I was trying to look it up. I think I got an alert on that, but I can't find it, so maybe I was dreaming. But I do know he's a restricted free agent. So there's that. And so that's pretty much the list of players that we are set to lose this upcoming free agent period. Now, no big, huge, gigantic names other than Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston and to a lesser extent Zach Braun. But these were big pieces. There were a lot of this was depth wise, a lot of depth here that were essential for the New Orleans Saints, and it's gonna hurt. And the sad part about it is Saints don't have the money to replace these people. That's why the Saints have been relegated to restructuring what we do have. Just this past week, they reworked the contract with Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, to keep him in New Orleans for the next 2 seasons. They restructured the contract of Demario Davis to keep him here for the next 2 seasons. And look, I'm cool with the Demario Davis. He's getting up there in age. He's 35 years old. Yeah, he's getting up there. But you can make an argument Demario Davis had one of his best seasons last year. One of, I ain't saying the best, but one of his best seasons last season. Yeah, I will keep him. I'm not mad at that. They did tender Rashid Shaheed, thank God, because he was set to hit free agency as well. But Tyrann Mathieu, look, I love Tyrann Mathieu for his community work. He does some great things here in New Orleans. I mean, he's a 504 boy. This is what he loves it here. This is home. This is home. And he has accomplished a lot on the field and even more off the field, but it just ain't there. It just ain't there since he been here. This is not the Honey Badger that we know and love from LSU, of course, not even from the Chiefs, not even when he went to, who drafted him? Was it Arizona? Yeah, not even that Tyrann Mathieu. He's older now. He's a little slower now. So it's not, he doesn't bring that same fire. Now, with that said, he had a good season. Good. Decent season last year. And so I'm not mad at him. I'm just like, man, that's a spot for one of these youngsters, There's somebody young, some fire to come in here, But look, who knows what I know? But we do need leadership. It's good that you keep some pieces here. I understand, but at the same time, We need to bring in some fresh blood here. Let's keep it real. We need some fresh blood on this team, especially on defense. And we should not be talking about trading Marshawn Lattimore. Once again, I refer back to these so-called Saints fans. I've actually heard Saints fans say, good. I hope they do trade him. Oh, he stay hurt. This, that, and the third. Look, man, I'm not a weed smoker. I haven't smoked weed, never smoked weed. But whatever it is y'all smoking, please stop because it's not healthy. That it's not weed. I don't know what it is you're smoking, but you're tripping. That is Marshawn Lattimore is the best corner the Saints have ever had. Ever had. It is mind-boggling that people would actually fix their mouths to say, go ahead and trade him because he stayed hurt. People get hurt. And is it aggravating he gets hurt? Yes, it's aggravating. It's aggravating when any player gets hurt for any duration of time. It drives me up the wall. But that's football. And the main people complaining about them getting hurt on the field wouldn't last 3 plays in the NFL without being carted off. And so they need to chill with that. I mean, this is the best corner we've ever had. This is a top 5 corner in the entire NFL. Let me break it down to y'all in case y'all don't realize it. I don't have the numbers in front of me because there's not many numbers to read, but just look at the fact. You always see whoever is the counterpart to Lattimore get picked on all the time. You know why that is? You know why people pick on Adebo? You know why people pick on Alontae Taylor and in the past when they had other cornerbacks who were paired up with Lattimore? You know why quarterbacks targeted them? Because they utterly refused to throw on Lattimore's side because he had that side locked up. That is the sign of an awesome cornerback. So miss me with that. Yeah, does he give up 1 or 2 every now and then? Sure he does. So did Darrelle Revis. And believe it or not, even Deion Sanders gave up a couple. It's possible, people. And so, come on, yeah, people need to relax, man. I just don't understand the frame of mind of the Saints. They're so willing to let go A-plus talent. A-plus talent that Saints never get. And if we let him go, what you going to let him go for? You know what the value for Marshawn Lattimore would be if they was to trade for him? It would probably be a 3rd or 4th round pick. Can you honestly say that is market value? That is even trade for Marshawn Lattimore? Man, stop. Man, get out of here. People are tripping. I'm telling you, man, people are seriously tripping. Now, that hasn't been confirmed. I don't see it happening. If it does happen, if it does happen, I don't know, man. I'll probably I'll have to do some soul searching as far as me and being a Saints fan in the next year. So because they really tanking. At that point, I would say, okay, they're tanking. They got to be tanking. You know, why would you give your best player on defense? No, you'll have to be tanking. Now, the only thing I could see why the Saints would be trading away Marshawn Lattimore, letting Michael Thomas walk out the door, and all these other players. I think this is a mass exodus of the Sean Payton era Saints. You know, there's only a few players remaining from that era. That would be a Marshawn Lattimore, Michael Thomas, even a Cam Jordan, and such. You know, Alvin Kamara, who name it, has been thrown out there as actual trade bait. You know, stuff like that. You know, these are players who know better. That's the problem. Players who don't buy into Dennis Allen bull jive. That's what that's about. So when I hear about a potential trades of certain players, that's where my mind go. Just think back to a couple of years ago when it was CJ going to Johnson. All of a sudden they went that morning. I got an alert. That morning, it was an alert. Negotiations have begun between CJ Garner Johnson and the Saints for a contract extension. I'm like, all right, they're gonna get this done. That evening, CJ Garner Johnson has been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Wait, what? You know, it's like anybody who stands up and say anything or is defiant towards Dennis Allen, he's gone. They're gone. As much as I ragged on Sean Payton at the beginning of this show, Sean Payton wouldn't have this problem. There would be no problem here. Now, he's traded players who disagree with him. Don't get me wrong. He's done that. But he gave him a chance. He was like, look, I don't know who you think you are, but this is my team. Whatever, whatever, whatever. And more often than not, players got their mind right. The ones who didn't, yeah, then they were out the door. There is zero tolerance here with Dennis Allen. Zero. But the problem that bothers me with that, that's fine if you're going to be that way, but be that way across the board. We didn't have that energy with Derek Carr last season. You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff that constantly plays across my mind. He threw Chris Olave under the bus. He threw the defense under the bus. He threw Michael Thomas under the bus. He talked about everybody in his little press conferences. Him being Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. It's like they were, I don't know, twins or something. They were all both saying the same stupid stuff. They constantly threw everybody under the bus except themselves. And quite frankly, the leaders in the locker room, they're tired of it, man. They're like, man, what is this? What is this? This is foolishness. And Michael Thomas, for everybody complaining about him on social media, going off about calling Dennis Allen a loser and all this other stuff. Did he lie? I mean, you getting mad? Show me the lie. And because everything he said was the God honest truth. Everything he said. Yeah, you probably didn't like the way he did it, but he didn't lie. There was no lie told. And so I can't get mad at him. Man, tired. Man, these dudes work too hard. They put too much on their bodies for this, to go out there in the hot summer during training camp, go through the preseason, go play 17 weeks in the NFL, taking hits, running routes, practicing throughout the week, eating right, working out, doing all this, grinding, putting their all, not going to the recitals, not going to the Pee Wee football games with their kids, not going to the taking field trips with their children, or being there for their wives for anniversaries and birthdays and stuff like that, sacrificing all that to go play a game that they put their heart and soul into, to a mediocre, no, that's an insult to mediocrity, to a below mediocre football team because of their head coach and his decision making or the lack thereof. Yeah, it's a little frustrating. I would imagine it's kind of frustrating, people. And so get off of Michael Thomas, get off to any other teammate or player on this team that speaks out against this foolishness. Because if on your job, if something was going on and you go to work every day, you stay late, you work off the clock, bring home work with you, work at the kitchen table so you can make sure something is done and all this other foolishness, get back to the office, hand it to your boss, and you're like, all right, thank you, and walk off. Don't tell you, good job, or I appreciate the effort you're putting in, or you can come in this meeting and present it, or whatever the case may be. Just like, oh, all right, thank you. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. You'd be kind of upset. You're not getting any extra money, no accolades, no nothing. You'll be upset. But anywho's, let's talk about what the Saints need. Let's address what the Saints should be targeting in free agency. What's the most pressing need? Well, beside a head coach, and a quarterback. The Saints do have some serious needs. I know we just locked up Demario Davis for 2 more years, and that's good. Um, but let's be honest, we've been hurting in the linebacker position now, especially now that Zach Braun is gone. So you need somebody else. You need another hand, if not two. Now the Saints have a plethora of picks this season in the draft. I think we have 9 picks, and the majority of them are fifth rounds. I think the entire fifth round is the Saints. They got about 5 fifth rounds. It's crazy. But they don't have any third or fourth rounds, but it is what it is. Uh they can address some of this in the draft, but if they want to attack the free agent market, the Saints can look at some linebackers. Might be priced out with some of them, with not most. I know Patrick Queen is available from the Ravens. It might be a little too pricey for the Saints, but that's somebody you can look at. I know they brought in cornerback to for a visit, but not they're not signing. We haven't signed them yet. But you do need to address linebacker. We do need to address this edge rusher. We need a edge rusher in the worst way. Cam Jordan is long in the tooth. His best days are behind him. Uh, Once again, love him. Deserves a bus in Canton, but his best days are behind him. And on the other side, I don't know what's going on the other side. We just cannot get that a complimentary pass rusher, edge rusher to Cam Jordan. Never had since he been here. We just have not gotten that. We tried with Peyton Turner. We tried with Marcus Davenport. We tried with now Carl Granderson had a decent year last year. Really good. I'd say above decent. He had a real good year last year, but uh, we still missing something. We need a edge rusher in the worst way. Now there are a few edge rushers out there. You have Darnell Hunter from Minnesota. He's in the free agent market. You have Chase Young. He has hit the free agent market after spending a half a season with the 49ers. There are pieces out there. The Jamian Clowney, he's out there. I mean, there's some pieces out there. But are the Saints going to pull the trigger on any of them? We shall see. Wide receiver, I know we losing Michael Thomas, but we do have a pretty decent receiving core. It doesn't hurt not to bring in another piece. Hey, Odell Beckham Jr., he's out there. You could probably get him for cheap. Hometown boy yet again, bring him home. Just to be a piece. I'm not looking for New York Giants Odell Beckham Jr. I'm not looking for that because you're not going to get that. But to have another piece, another threat, he's still a threat out there on the field. And so you have that. You have Calvin Ridley, who's out there. There are pieces out there, but nobody's moving. Nobody's moving as of yet. So those are the biggest needs. Offensive line, yeah. I would like to address that in free agency because I don't want it addressed in the draft because the Saints can't draft. As of late, the Saints just can't draft. We haven't hit on a draft pick in a while. Not the obvious ones. I'm not talking about the Olaves. That was a given. Or even the late round picks. Now they're good with the late round picks, but 1 through 3, it's been a struggle. We really been struggling, especially when it comes to offensive and defensive line. It has been a struggle. Trevor Penning is pretty much a bust at this point. Uh, Isaac Forsky, he can't even get on the field. Peyton Turner, he can't stay healthy. I mean, we are striking out, man. Kendra Miller looks good, can't stay healthy. We just striking out with these early draft picks. Yet you have a Shadid who's undrafted, probably one of the best players on the team. You know, just as an example. You know what I'm saying? So it's I'd rather address it with some proven talent that's out there in free agency. But like I said, we're handcuffed with this salary cap. I don't know what we can do. I will say this: as much as Mickey Loomis is not one of my favorite people right now, he is a genius when it comes to these cap numbers. I give him that. But he's not my favorite person at the moment. But we'll see. We'll see as free agency goes along. But this episode was basically just to get us ramped up and somewhat excited for this off season, for this free agent period. Let's see what the Saints do. What moves will the Saints make? Will they make any moves? And try to improve this team, man. Yeah, we need to improve this team in the worst way because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, everybody around us is getting better. Everybody around us is getting better. My biggest fear has come to fruition with the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons were missing a quarterback. They just needed an average quarterback. You know, I take that back. They just needed a mediocre quarterback because they had none for the past few seasons. They didn't have a quarterback. Now they got an above average quarterback. And depending on who you ask, it's probably top 10 quarterback, you know, in the league with Kirk Cousins. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think Kirk Cousins is all that, but Kirk Cousins is good enough. I'll put it this way. Kirk Cousins is better than Derek Carr. He is that. And so it's a problem. With all the weapons they have there, it's a problem now. Now stuff then got real. Now we have a problem. And so Saints, that window of opportunity is closed. It ain't shut, but it is closed. You had your chance. Last year you had everything laid out for you, and you messed it up. So now it then got real. I don't know if everybody has seen that schedule that we have next season, but it's brutal. It is a complete contrast to what we had last season, and we didn't play nobody. We didn't play nobody, and can only muster up 9 wins. And the only reason we got 9 wins is because we have one more game to play. You know, if this was a 16 game schedule like it used to be, Saints would be a 500 team. But being as though it was a 17 week season, Saints lucked up and finished above 500. They couldn't finish 500, so they just edged out 500, which made Dennis Allen, gave Dennis Allen his first winning season ever as a head coach at 9-8. Whoop-de-doo. But yeah, next season is no more games to be played, bro. I mean, you got the Chiefs on deck, the Super Bowl champs, the 2-time Super Bowl champs. You got them on deck. You have Sean Payton coming back to the Dome. Now, granted, he don't have a quarterback now. I don't know what they're doing over there in Denver. But you actually think Sean Payton going to come here and not want to beat the Saints? Yes, he's going to come to play. And you have that on deck. I think you have the NFC West, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, the East. Yeah, you had the East on deck. So that means the Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, Giants. Yeah, all that's there for you. And so it's not going to be easy next season at all. So, and that's not to mention your division. Like I said, with Atlanta, with Kirk Cousins coming in, Tampa Bay has re-upped and rewarded Baker Mayfield for winning the division and bringing them to the playoffs and winning a playoff game, giving him a contract. And so that's coming back around. Carolina is Carolina. They're not. That's the one thing we don't have to worry about. But watch that be the team we have to worry about. So we'll see. We'll see what all transpires going forward. I'm not feeling too confident this season with this team, as far as bringing in some talent, some proven talent. I mean, I may be wrong, but numbers don't lie. I don't see how you're going to bring in, let's say, Levante David, right? Linebacker from Tampa Bay, who's a free agent now. How you going to bring him in? You don't have money. You don't have the money for that. Kyle Van Noy, edge rusher. You don't have the money. Those would be good pieces. I would love to have Levante David. That would be a great fit, but don't have the money. But stranger things have happened. Saints have pulled it off before. We'll see if they pull it off this season. I would like to know, everybody, what do you think the Saints will do this free agent period? Do you think the Saints will be able to bring in some much needed pieces, some highly touted free agents here in the Dome? I would love to know your thoughts moving forward for next season. Do you have hope? Or are you feeling hopeful that the Saints will bounce back and make a run for it in 2024? Let me know by email, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also look up the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Subscribe and like this video if you don't mind. Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this introduction into the NFL free agency period of 2024. Man, I miss football. The last few Sundays have been boring, bro. I mean, it is nothing to do, nothing to watch. It is, I cannot stand this time of the year. I really can't, man. I try to get into basketball, it's March Madness and all that, getting ramped up, and it just ain't happening. I'm not feeling it, And my football team, they're not giving me any excitement to look forward to football next season. It's just been depressing. I mean, the Pelicans ain't even doing. The Pelicans are so hot and cold. It's like, man, one night they look like world beaters. The next night they look like they can't beat a old team on in a pickup game at the local gym. It just looks horrible. They look horrible at times. But yeah, hopefully things will turn around. We got some time. Got a few months. I mean, the draft is next month, so I got some time to kind of get my mind right. Hopefully, we'll get some good picks. Make some really good decisions. Preferably, and make a run at this thing. And so we'll see. But I'll be talking to you on the next go around. If something transpires in the near future, you can look forward to a new episode of the Dome Patrol podcast, and we will discuss it as such. Hopefully it won't be a trade that involves Marcus Lattimore or Alvin Kamara, because that's just silly to me. It doesn't make sense. But in any event, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day, your week, your month, your off season. I'll be speaking to you on the next go around, and until then, you can find me by listening for the fella that's screaming, "Who that?"